Today we've got Indar with us, and I'm Brooks, and this is Koliah. Thank you for blessing us with your presence, and we hope to kind of dig into that genius mind of yours and try to get some value out, and see how we can help and maybe help everybody else as well. Kind of the same thing. The spirit of things is my kind of my theme. I try to just figure out how to give back, and the more people that I can get on board and help me to help others, then it just spreads. So thank you. And Koliah is his another genius brain, so I feel blessed to sit next to both of you guys. It's
learning.
Yeah, well, he's just amazing. I can't even speak to enough about how impressed I am with him, because at that age I wasn't, I feel like I'm still trying to figure out what I want to be when I grow up. But we are here to talk about you and kind of find out more about who you are, and you want to just tell us a little bit about what makes you you.
Well, I'm truly blessed to just be around great people and just to keep pushing and learning. And like you're saying, there's abundance in life. I think there's enough for everyone to succeed and go around. And early on when I was flipping, I didn't see that mindset. I was just so focused on me pushing. It was like a competitive mindset because I'm very competitive. But now I've gained success. I realized that there's so much deals, so much money, so much avenues of real estate in general where everyone can make money, from flipping, wholesaling, agents, and loan officers and escrow companies. There's so many different avenues where they're all great. And it just takes somebody to push whatever avenue you're at and push that, and focus on that.
Definitely. Are you born and raised here?
Yeah.
Can we figure out?
That little quick bit of history.
I started at the beginning. Like, I want to know you. Like, what makes you you?
Born and raised in Hilo. Born on a pot farm in Puna, actually, middle of nowhere. 17-acre pot farm we had back in the 70s and 80s. Yeah. Green harvest was just starting at that time. My parents were center of all of that industry, whatever. We sold the pot farm, moved to Kona. So I'm really a Kona boy. I grew up in Kona. Since I was 5, I grew up in Kona. Grew up in Kona, had a great life, surfed, paddled, everything in the ocean you can think of. Just love hunting, everything.
You gotta enjoy that stuff there, because otherwise there's nothing. You get in trouble. So it's either
camping. I have my son right now. He's like, I want to go camping. I'm like, I grew up camping. You can't camp on this island for some reason.
It's different. Yeah, you gotta apply for a permit. Over there, you just show up and let's go.
You got a permit.
In Volcano too. It's
different. Life's different now.
Yeah. Especially when I'm 40 now, so that was a while ago. But I grew up that just local boy lifestyle. I had strong pigeon. I used to hang with the boys and Hope, the guy. I lost my pigeon when I went away. I went away at 18 to college for 2 years, and mainland people don't like the pigeon. They kind of
they don't know the pigeon. That's why.
They think you're dumb, or that in business in general. Pigeon doesn't sound too smart.
I'll turn it on and off. On and off.
So around my friends I grew up with, but then when I'm around, Brendan Turner and all the high level guys, I'm like, try to not be too but I grew up I got a business degree first from over here in Oahu, Hilo College. I went to California a couple of years, and then I got an electrical engineering degree from University of Manoa. Came back and took me 6 years to get a 4-year degree, but I got it. It was great. I worked as an engineer for a while. After that,
what kind of engineering?
Electrical engineering.
Okay, that's right.
And did that an EE for a while. And the guy said, "Hey, how come you're working for me and building his company?" He's like, "Why don't you go work for your dad's company?" And it kind of sat in my brain, like, why am I not working for my dad? My dad had a construction company, still does today. He does commercial construction. My dad does.
But for some reason, it just didn't connect at that time?
I just didn't want to be a part of my dad, and I didn't want to do construction. I wanted to, I don't know.
Do your own thing.
Yeah, I didn't know what I was doing when I was your age.
He's an anomaly, I swear.
I just was winging it at that time. So much things you want to change, when you're young. So I did that, and then I worked for my dad's company, and worked at his construction company for 10 years, from cleaning bathrooms to toilets to running crews, and helped run his company and grow it. I don't know if I did a good job or a bad job, but
didn't know anything about real estate in that time, as far as like equity.
I knew about real estate and basics. and I knew I needed to do it. So early on, about 24 years old, I knew real estate needed to be a part of my life.
Yeah.
I was just paddling, starting being around successful people. I think I joined an outrigger canoe club at some time, and I was around outrigger canoe club, and they're very successful people.
They're generally like affluent people.
Yeah.
Yes.
And either they did real estate,
Yeah.
or the real estate was part of their portfolio.
Yeah.
Like it was one or the other.
Oh, they're in that circle.
So I knew real estate had to be something in my life.
Yeah.
And I didn't know if I wanted. The agent thing right away didn't click for me, being an agent.
Yeah.
Because I think the thing that was getting in my head was, oh, you only make like 3% of the deal? I want to be the guy making the 97% of the deal.
Yeah.
I want to be the guy making the other side of that deal. And then, about that time, I knew the best way to start in real estate, anybody out there listening, the best way to start in real estate is to just go buy a house. Just go to bank, get a loan, and see what the bank or lender, your loan officer will give you.
Experience it for yourself, and then you go through the process and you learn along the way.
And the only reason I asked that is because like a lot of construction guys that I knew or that I was around, they never talked about real estate or they weren't really.
They always want to do it. There's a lot of construction guy who wants to flip. They want to make that jump.
Yeah.
But they don't feel that.
It's a big difference.
Yeah.
Big difference.
A lot of people think I'm a realtor.
Yeah.
To this day, they think real estate is just realtor.
Yes.
Like, no, you don't need a license. I just buy the property.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's interesting.
But that's funny. Under the definition of the IRS, you'd actually be a real estate professional when you want to file your taxes and write stuff off.
Yeah.
So
for the cost, I guess.
Yeah.
Early on, I just got a loan and bought something. They had a Aloha loan or something. It was 1% down. You only needed, and it was amazing. I only had to spend $3,000 to buy this $200,000 little box. I think it was probably this big.
Down here?
It was on Date Street, right behind, right here at Waikiki, right in the back.
Nice. Like across on the Iolani side?
Mm-hmm. Close to Iolani,
Okay.
real close to Iolani. And I bought my wife, girlfriend at the time, she helped me with the mortgage. I lived in it, painted it myself, lived in it 2 years, and I did the DIY, thing. And the coolest thing about living in a property for 2 years and selling it, is you pay no property tax. So no income tax. Anything you make over under $500,000 or $250,000, depending if you're married or not, any profit you make, it's tax free.
The capital gains exemption, right?
No
Did you know that at the time? Is that what you were working?
Yeah. I knew it when I was going to sell, and not the time of buying.
On your way to when you started thinking about selling, that's when it came in.
Yeah. I started learning about real estate. I was interested in flipping at that time, so I sold, and that same time I signed up for an education program. Spent $50,000 on this crazy education program with like 30 other people, and only 2 of us kept going on actually. And this is 2013 actually. So 2013, I used that $90,000 from my property I bought for $240, sold it at $340, made about $90,000, and I used that money to then get into flipping. Same time, I also did a wholesale deal in Hilo. Actually, I bought a land. I wish I kept it. Two acres in HPP for $20,000. I bought it.
What?
Well, I didn't buy it. I put under contract on Craigslist.
Yeah.
Listed on Craigslist for $35,000 and sold it on Craigslist. Craigslist was a little.
Craigslist was.
I've seen your video.
Heyday. That was right.
Yeah. Craigslist used to be a little easier and better. Craigslist is now kind of a scamish.
It's like MySpace to Facebook.
Yeah. Craigslist used to be a kind of.
Yeah, and the lots over there now are like 80, 90.
Yeah, I wish I kept those things. Yeah. It was 2 acres too, and it was like at 17th or 18th. So as in HPP, as you get numbers get lower, the better the lots are basically. Because you're doing Hilo.
Yeah, it gets close to the beach.
Yeah, beach.
Yeah.
What kind of sand they got there?
Big Island Beach.
HPP, they say beach, and you drive down there, it's all rocks.
Yeah,
It's like, okay, all right there. But did a wholesale deal, made that little bit of cash flow to help pay for my schooling, and I was scared shitless, man. I did this first flip, I bought it for $700,000, and we were anticipating selling at $1,020,000 is what we sold for, and I was scared. It was like $700,000. Man, this is a big number. I'm really scared, and I ran that deal by everybody I knew, everybody and their mother, and I was so scared. I actually partnered with somebody. His name's Henry, who's done 3 or 4 flips at the time. No one did scale at the time, and it just felt a lot easier having somebody there who's done a few deals.
Right.
Back then, actually talking lending, hard money lenders would not lend to you unless you had a deal or two under your belt. You had to have experience, so you had to partner back then. We were at 12 to 14% in 3 points, 2 to 3 points. That was the norm back then.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
This is 2013, 14. So hard money lender wasn't prevalent like today. Like I'm just.
It wasn't. I wasn't aware of it, and I've been in the real estate industry since 2004.
Yeah.
But I had no idea that.
I know loan officers 30 years. What's a hard money lender?
Right.
5 years ago. But
Yeah.
now.
I mean, there is a big disconnect between
Well,
the two.
still now, that
Yeah.
I still know people that don't know it, never even heard of it.
Yeah. And
It's hard money.
Right. It's interesting that it's all coming out and surfacing and it's popular now.
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of how we do the business now without them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I scaled. Early on, there was no one scaling in Hawaii. There was no one to look up to for me. There was mainland guys who were flipping, had education programs, but there was no one to scale and looking up. There was another guy, shady guy, I won't mention his name, that's got left, but he kind of was coming around. He was just starting too as well. And I didn't have any local person to look up to.
That is how I got the bug in my head from the ads and stuff. So I remember that.
Yeah, it's just so that's why now today I want to get back to local people. I want to show local people you can scale, you can do more. I don't want.
And not everybody's maybe like that. Yeah. Yeah, because that has been brought up several times. Like, ooh, okay, there was a stain on the community, whereas it's not. There's no stigma attached to it, other than everybody's trying to help themselves together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Have you kind of like broke through that, like you said, that first one? You're just like so scared, right? Yeah. And then I'd imagine right now, like fear is not even like ever a thing.
I mean, I think as you
scale,
you're just pushing your fear limits. You're pushing your comfort zones. The fear is your comfort zones, right?
Yeah.
And so we just bought a shopping center 3 days ago for $6 million. I own the whole freaking shopping center with the Office Max and a gym and now that's like
I want to be friends with somebody who has their own escalator. So if you got an escalator in there, we're buddies.
I gotta go bigger, I guess. But now after buying, I'm like, I can go bigger. Like that. Now that comfort zone just got bigger and bigger, and I think that's what entrepreneurship sometimes is okay. We didn't get it. I flipped 130 homes plus or minus. And that comfort zone just gets bigger and bigger. I was flipping 1 or 2 homes first year, 3, 4, the next year 4, 5. Not an overnight success. It was definitely a grind for me. I took 10 years to get where we're at today. Mm-hmm. So I'm not an overnight success. And that is just how I keep pushing. It's like 4 or 5 houses at a time. I can do more. 6, 7, I can do more.
So along the way as you're growing, are you figuring out how to streamline certain things so that you have more capacity to take on the more?
I wished I did along the way, but I was manning up and doing it all myself for years and years.
Really?
And just one-man band running around with my head cut off and doing it all.
So where'd you get that tipping point where you had to?
I think it slowly started with the VA, as we were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
A VA helped with the paperwork. Paperwork is such a heavy load. And then we got the VA involved. And then as we get more investors involved, and we're raising a lot of capital, so having a VA for that. And that just slowly steamrolled it into it all. And then getting a project manager, of course. And you slowly scale. I think the biggest 3 hires is of course a bookkeeper, a project manager, and some kind of sales guy or any kind of sales. Those are your 3 kind of big roles that you need to hire out. And then later on, there's some other roles, of course, but those are your biggest roles to offset, some of your time and your energy.
Who was like that first person that was kind of like example for you for stuff like that, or like what other mentors or people helped you in the beginning? So I know you got some people like
there was
Jay's
no one here.
Yeah,
Jay was later on.
Okay.
In the last couple of years.
Okay.
No one early on, and I think that was I wish I had somebody early on to show me or tell me, to stop doing it myself and you can do more with others.
Mm-hmm.
It's what is the saying? You can go slower is faster.
Yeah.
So
slower together.
Slower together is faster. But I trudged and I grinded and I fell and failed and I did some great deals, but I just kept on succeeding and putting more and more on my plate and pushing my own personal limits. One of the things here I learned early on was I would do the hardest flips ever. That this one house was like falling through the floors and the support beams and jacked up. I would do that house that no one would want, and we do it and to succeed and make great returns. And every other house just felt easy after. I'm like, that's easy.
Yeah.
So,
in comparison,
that was one of my mindsets early on. Was I'm gonna take
the one
that
in Wyandotte that you guys are doing. I guess is that on Lange Street, or
I don't know which one we got.
You get so many.
I've done 50 something. Why not?
But most recent one that
Koliah is coming on. Koliah, Koliah is coming on, and that was a really, really bad one. Yeah, I think that's what you're referring to.
That one's just being completed.
Yeah, they were saying we got to tear down walls and we got to tear the building down, and we've reframed it and redid everything. But you can do anything in construction. My wife's always, can we do that or this? You can do anything. It's just how much it's gonna cost.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But the other hardest part when you scaled in this business is the capital. Like we're carrying $30 million in fix and flips right now. So how do you figure that out? So I'm constantly a professional money finder. I cold call banks sometimes 5 to 6 a day.
Really?
Just seeing what the rates are at. I'm constantly talking to lenders and seeing where they're at. So I'm constantly trying to do that. We're constantly working with banks and getting lines of credit. So, First Hawaiian Banks, we've got a $250,000 line of credit. Central Pacific, we got lines of credit. So we're building relationships with banks by putting funds and asking them, what do we need to build a relationship with you? So I can go to the bank, have meetings.
Almost creating a product for yourself.
Yeah.
Because you're educating them on a need that maybe they weren't aware of.
Yeah. Well, I'm just seeing how we can benefit each other. What do they need? They need a huge
business for them. Right?
They need a huge amount of capital in their account. So the more capital they have in their bank, now they can go lend out 5 to 10x. They can do loans based on that. So if you put $200,000 in the bank, they can go now leverage and get a couple million in loans. They can now dish out. So you're always trying to find that relationship with banks. There's one day I literally went downtown and just walked bank to bank to bank and just talking to banks.
Wow.
I've tried all kinds of loans. Factor rate loans, don't ever do those. They give these crazy interest rates, and there's all kinds of different stuff out there. You can get lines of credit for a new pool install and all this kind of stuff. You can be creative in working with people like that. And of course, private money. So raising capital with investors is a huge part of how we do this business. So early on, I've always recognized that, and that's what helped us scale is providing great returns for investors. And I always try to give them a little more, give them an extra. And I do a guarantee where no matter what deal, our third deal ever, we didn't do well on, and we still, no matter what, our investors always make money. So I have a scale prop kind of principle. We got 16, 17 flips going right now, so no matter what, we'll be all right. Like if one project goes south, we're not all in on one.
So you're okay, and that you can guarantee that investor because you're already doing
enough
to
be all right. Yeah.
And that's a good guarantee, because I think when I first got interested and they're like, you could be a PML. Well, that's boring. Like I want something a little more exciting, right? But
I think now as I scale, I think was where I want to be is more of a P&L. So
that's because you went through it and coming out the other side already.
It's safer. It's actually better than an investor alone, because you're guaranteed to make your 12% return on your investment, compared to like an investor who invests in a syndicating model or something. Like when you do large syndicates, the syndicate model, you might lose or you might make. They always have
it's equity, right, versus debt.
It's a lender versus an investor. There's two different terms here that we throw around loosely.
Right,
Lenders make a return. An investor can fluctuate. Investor, when you do a syndicate model, often you'll have an IR and it's your rate of return. They'll have your projected rate of return, and that could fluctuate compared to when we raise capital. it's said 12%, you're guaranteed to make 12% no matter how well this property does. So, you never know how well a property is going to do, especially right now with our market right now.
What would you say to the new investor? So, like for myself, you're saying that you're lending money out and they're guaranteed to get that money back. But what about like what do they have to go through to get that money back in the worst case scenario?
Worst case. So we do a promissory note and a mortgage. So they have a lien against the property. So we buy these properties really cheap, obviously. So there's enough equity for everyone to get paid out. As well as I'm a lender. I pay myself 12% actually on deals. So I'll have hard money lender. I fund enough deals, bring in investors' money, and then I'm on the back end of the deal. And I make a promissory note and a mortgage for me as well, because we have all our money that goes into a fund, and that fund lends out to our deals. So you have to be, you can't collateralize, so you have to have that fund.
Commingle, yeah.
Yeah, you can't commingle.
Mm-hmm.
So
you're
nice, yeah. That's
you got your own. Do you? Is anybody else able to utilize that fund, or is it just you created it for yourself, or
it's just for our for our deals and our assets as we scale and grow. And that's a tipping point to grow more and more, is obviously to find more capital in every
have access to it. Yeah.
And that's from talking about what you do. That's about letting friends and family know what you're doing, or even you're interested in. In an elevator, sharing it to people, or I throw it around loosely. Hey, I got a deal. Come invest with me. Like, I'll throw it around loosely in crowd. To
whoever you're talking
you
to.
never know. You never know who you're talking to, and it's the name of the game. That's how you can scale this business, is to find more capital, find more investors and lenders and banks.
So networking, would you say?
Yeah, networking, of course. Everything of it all. Networking is huge, of course, and building relationships. But what I notice now is just to stay in your lane. Because we're so big now, and you get a lot of people who are, in social media. There's a lot of hates and sometimes like that. I always notice that if I'm so busy, I don't even have enough time to deal with it.
To pay attention.
So I was talking to you the other day.
Yeah.
If you guys are out there and you're hating or giving whatever on somebody, get more busy. You're just not busy enough. If you're so busy, you don't have time to deal with any of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at today. We're just so busy that we don't have time to deal with other stuff. I just focus on me, and my biggest competitor is myself. That's who I'm competing against. There's no other competitors but ourselves.
So we've had had a couple of close friends ask some questions, and okay, we're gonna talk to Indar, but what do you want to say? So one of the questions that was asked was, where do you see the end? Like for you, do you have an exit strategy? What are you trying to get to?
That's a hard question for entrepreneurs, because we always want more. We're always raising that bar, that goal. I actually have a nice morning routine where I sit outside, I write in my journal, and I set my goals for the week, for the month, and the quarterly. And I always look back at those goals, and I had a goal to make $1 million, and I made $1 million already. And I was like, man, that goal isn't big enough. I was like, I need to set bigger goals. And I always recognize that my goals are never big enough because I keep pushing those bars. My new current goal, I should say, is to make $84,000 a month net cash flow. Net means after everything is my net cash flow for my rental portfolio. So we also have we just bought more. We have 161 rentals.
Located where?
All over the U.S. So we have Wisconsin. We just bought that shopping center. We have a multifamily in Pennsylvania. We have multis in Connecticut, New York, Texas. We sold Chicago. I don't know.
That's a lot of coverage.
Yeah. And then we have Hawaii too, of course, and Airbnbs in here in Hawaii, and we have a Turo that don't do Turo. We're selling our Turo right now. We have a minivan. We Turoed with our Airbnbs. Yeah. We're up $2,000 for the whole year. I'm like, that was a waste of time.
It served its purpose during COVID. It was it was a really popular thing.
Yeah.
And it was a crazy. Who would have thought that here that would be like such a thing? The chip shortage, the rental cars, and all that stuff.
Yeah. It's a hard business, of course, but to scale in the outer states is is definitely it's scary at first because you're like, oh, how do I scale and jump into a state I don't know? I've never
and
been.
you're not there either.
I'm not there.
Right.
But it's really the same as here. It's just your network, your teamwork, finding a great agent, a great property management company, somebody that knows that area well as you're looking at a deal potentially, or just a great deal. I don't jump into these areas like willingly sometimes. It's just a great, amazing deal is happening. I'm like, oh, shoot, I just got to figure it out. We're buying another commercial unit in Indiana right now. I'm like, I didn't want it to get it, but I just got an amazing deal on it, and it's seller finance, so I'm no money out of my pocket. I'm like, man, I just figured this damn deal out. So sometimes it's just amazing deal, and
you have enough access to all the information to make an educated decision where you're like, you know what, I'm pretty sure it's gonna work.
That's the risk of it all. It's you doing your own due diligence on anything, from a flip, figuring out your ARV, to a multifamily or commercial deal, figuring out your valuations of it. That's the name of the game. That's the name of the game is, can you mitigate your risk properly enough to be conservative? And I think that was one of the hugest things for us, is we've been conservative for many years, because I've seen so many people come and go in this business. And it's a hard business, and you have to be conservative, and you have to be playing a long run. You're not playing a 1 or 2 year shot kind of thing. You're playing a long run game. And that's the hard part, because it's sexy, and it's sexy looking, and it's amazing to watch, before and after, but people don't know the struggles of it all behind the scenes, and you have to be playing a long game of it all.
I think to speak to that, there's a lot of people that are kind of either got one foot in and they're not sure to make that jump and commit, so they're maybe kind of holding themselves back. What would you say to somebody that's like kind of there? Like, how do you speak to somebody and say,
action, the action.
Yeah, because we hear that all the time. Everybody's like, take action, take action. But
well, I think, even just that long-term mindset, right? Like, you've been doing it for 10 years. It's like, if you look back at yourself at like step one, right? You're like, you probably were never even looking at this 10-year thing. No. And it's really hard for other people to like
imagine, picture it.
But if you just, something as simple as this, real estate, like, you just keep doing it. You can just buy one house and do it for 10, 20 years and pay it, and you'll get there, know. So it's a slow process. I mean, the coolest thing about real estate is you look smart whenever you buy real estate in 30 years. So if I own any property, I bought it at the worst time, 30 years from now, I just look smart. It's real estate is just one of those avenues that it just makes you. But the biggest thing, as you're just talking about, I never looked too far ahead. I was just always, still to this day, I have two personal models. It's figure it out, and to just keep moving forward. I have this move forward attitude. That whatever I do, I just do it now. Urgency.
Even I have an email or a text or something I like have to do. I have this really urgency to get it done now, because if I wait till tomorrow, I'm not going to do it. I'm going to forget about it. So I don't have like a to-do list, because my to-do list is pretty much done.
You got a now list.
Yeah. So my
every day I hate that word tomorrow. Like, especially calling or talking to people on the Big Island and say, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow." It's like, "Oh my God, please be urgent about this." Like
that's what you're gonna say tomorrow.
Every time, they said tomorrow yesterday, and it's like
that's a hard one when you're depending on other people to do stuff.
It's always tomorrow, and every time I hear the word, it's just like, oh my God.
That's a hard thing in Hawaii in general. Sometimes.
Yeah.
And and that's why I'm always just pushing and taking action and doing. And even when those people are telling me, "Oh, I'll do it tomorrow," I'll go around them and I'll just get it done for them. I'll do stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just to make that job easier, or
it might take a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Like, it's not that big of a thing,
No, I mean, you probably put more energy into thinking about when you're going to do it tomorrow than it took to do it.
And just by even taking little action, sometimes you're saying, is the hugest step of it all. I have kind of this theory. I buy property, whatever it takes. I'll buy it with hard money, investor money, really expensive money, flips or holds, either one, and we'll figure it out later. You can always get control now, and you can raise rents, you can increase the value by fixing it up. You can refinance later. You can do cash out return. You can do all kinds of different loans later on. But if it's a deal now, buy it whatever it takes now, whatever it takes, and figure it out later, kind of thing. So I always move forward and figure out.
Creative with it, right, on the back end.
Yeah, there's so much different options you can do once you own a property. You can do HELOCs, you can do cash out refinance, you can do rate and returns, and you can sell the thing. There's so much different things.
So regardless, you're still, I mean, in that statement, you're still making educated decisions, but as far as your exit strategy or what you're going to do with it, sky's the limit once you have it.
It's nice to have multiple exits, right? And that's actually another problem we have here in Hawaii is our flips only work as flips. They can't, most of them you can't keep as rentals.
That because the rental income, the potential for it doesn't match up with
you can't get by on it. And that's a huge risk in Hawaii. Compared to mainland, they can buy a $200,000 house and probably rent it out and break even or not lose too much. You know, but you buy $1 million house, you're probably only getting $2-3 grand, maybe $4 grand rent. And you can't. They can't get by a lot of times.
Yeah.
And so you have to.
So I hear you always talking about that 1% rule.
Yeah.
So how can you? What are those creative ways to get that 1%? Say like on $1 million property or over $500,000 property.
You gotta it's gotta meet those rules, and of course you can split it up into 4 units, of course, Airbnb if you can, the midterm rental is a great way. Because
there's like a lot of those Filipino houses here where there's like a ton of different
What's the 1%
illegal.
Can you fill me in on that?
The 1% rule is a great rule we use from buying anything I buy. We bought 114 units, and 114 units we bought at 8 mil. And when you buy, let's use easy numbers. When you buy a $100,000 property, it should rent for $1,000 bucks. So when you buy $1 million property, it should rent for 10 grand a month.
Yeah.
So it's a quick rule to analyze any deal. You can take multifamily, a 10-unit building, and break it down to each unit, and you should know what each unit should rent for just based upon the 1% rule.
And it works everywhere else but here.
It works everywhere.
It works everywhere.
So how do you make a $1 million house in Hawaii make 10 grand a month? How are you going to do that?
I mean, Airbnb is the only thing I can think of
Airbnb,
now.
split it up into 4 units, midterm rental. You can take, this is kind of a riskier thing, if you can take a smaller property, $200,000-300,000 in Waikiki, and just even break even on that, and just maybe make something on that for the year, maybe break even on bank on appreciation. So that's another tactic you can play, but that's a whole nother game. That's an old school way.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up because that's kind of how I was taught, right? Is Hawaii is an equity state. The rest of the U.S., they're cash flow states. Right?
Yeah, we have the highest appreciation.
Right. Yeah. So there's a strategy in
but it's
playing that too.
Big risk because something breaks, roof happens, or anything happens, you can lose 20 grand easily and trying to recoup that later on. Are you just trying to carry a property with a break even? In those months of vacancies, you're carrying it's very risky.
So would you say that's better suited, like that works for your primary residence? Anything that you want to live in, that's a strategy. You still want to get your primary residence and the reason I say that is it almost seems like people are missing the point that everybody wants to get into investing right now, and maybe they're not in the place to purchase a home yet, but it should be along the way, not just invest only, figure out your home.
As you're talking about primary, I'm a huge fan of buying a primary residence, and not Cardone, how they say don't buy a primary, because that's just money you have available to take advantage of. You can get a Fannie and Freddie and FHA loan, 3.5% down. Basically, the federal government is going to give you everything you need to buy this house, and that's the only way you can use that house is for your primary, that money.
Right.
So take advantage of that money, leverage it, and go buy a house, and live in it, and let it go up in value, because we have that in Hawaii. But even if it wasn't going up too much in value, that's just free money available. Right. The U.S. government wants us to buy houses. And
there's intrinsic value there that a lot of people don't realize, and just the fact that it's your house and you don't have to worry about a landlord telling you got to move out in 45 days, or and you're also grasping the concept of paying down a bill and gaining equity in the process.
That's the best part. That's the best part. You're paying down your own mortgage. You're paying money back into your pockets. I do have an investor friend who's a He's a multimillionaire, and he's on the other side of the spectrum when he says, no, you should use that money to go buy more rentals and so forth, and make the landlord pay for all the things that are broken and all that. So to each his own.
Yeah.
But to me, that's just cheap. And
he's probably in a place where nobody tells him what to do anyway.
No.
Yeah.
He's a very different thinking kind of guy.
Mm-hmm.
And it's great. It's great to be around those kind of people. He actually, a great story. He early on he told me this. The average person, say, has, I don't know, 20 grand. I love this story. 20 grand to go buy a new car. They need a new car. They're gonna take 20 grand. They're gonna go buy a new car. We're taught by the school system. That's what we do. We take our money. We go buy a car. The investor is smart. He takes that same 20 grand and he goes buys a little rental property for 100 grand. He puts 20 grand down. That rental property is now maybe making 400 grand a month net on him. He takes that 400 grand. Now he leases a new car. So he's leased a new car, which is obviously not going up in value. It's going down in value.
Mm-hmm.
And now he's got a rental property that's going up in value. So just that little bit of a mindset shift into how you think and how to use money, it goes a long way.
It does. I think, he's further along in his career, or did he always have that?
The guy's he's very outspoken. He's always.
Well, I think it's definitely the mindset, right? Using money to make more money, or using money to get consumer debt, right? And they're like, oh, but I'm gonna use the money to buy a car, and the car is gonna help me make money, but it's a different way of thinking about it.
They need the car to get to their work too, so there's a
So at least the car, you're still gonna get to work. So.
Yeah.
So instead, lease the car instead of buying it. Yeah, it's a different way of thinking. I'm a big preacher in the velocity of the money. The quicker you can turn and use money to make more money, the more you can do. I always preach about the velocity of money. We have that Connecticut rental portfolio. We bought it for $8 million, and we have a 6% loan, pretty cheap loan on it. It was cheap at the time.
Yeah.
And we're refinancing it right now into an 8% loan. Market's crazy. Why would you want to refinance and put it into this expensive loan?
That's because your balance is lower.
No, I'm actually going to raise my balance up too. I'm going to take money out to pay off investors, pay off my own money. I'm taking $1 million out of this asset.
So there's an intent there. There's a reason why you're going to take a higher situation to maybe diffuse or hedge something else.
Well, that $1 million now I take out, I can redeploy that to make more money. So the velocity of money, that money I have sitting there, the investors' money, my money, needs to be redeployed back to investors so they can reinvest with me and we can do more together. So the quicker I can get their money back, even if it costs me more,
the more I can do. They come back to you. Right.
It's the kind of old school way of thinking versus the new. The old school way of thinking was to buy a rental property, pay it down to zero. The new school thinking is to get that money and leverage it and use more. It still makes your cash flows, of course, but to leverage it and to do more,
Yeah.
Because actually in that same property, 2-3 years from now, I can just do a rate and term loan and I can put it back down into 3 or 4% when I get to that. Nice.
I just had this visual in my head, like when people edit stuff, they kind of throw in a picture from something they were talking about. And when you were saying that, I just pictured dropping water on gremlins and they're all multiplying. I don't know, sorry.
That's what properties do. They drop some water on it.
Some of them are cute, some of them are ugly.
These are all ugly properties. But that's the velocity of money. The quicker you can use money to make more money. You're making money in your sleep, mailbox money, all that kind of stuff is how we can grow and do more in life. Because our time is only limited. Our time, trading time for money is only limited.
Yeah.
To max out. I was an electrical engineer, and we made $200,000 a year. So it's a great job, but I was trading time for money. And now it's the better avenue is figuring out how to trade money to make more money.
Right.
Yeah, it's a different thinking. I'm constantly trying to think differently.
Yeah. How do you enlighten that on, say, like a lot of Brooks, what he talks about is like financial literacy, or like how can you get to those people that are super the beginning to change their mindset about money in the way of like, I think it's never taught or even talked about, like velocity of money. So how do you kind of enlighten that upon somebody to be like, hey, this is how you you know, it is could be like, you know, the Rich Dad Poor Dad book and stuff like that, but it's
I mean, you can't push it upon people, of course.
Right.
It's got to be that person wants more in life. We all want more in life, but to what extent? You know, it's very hard for the entrepreneurship to switch from. I mean, it's easy to have a W-2 job getting paid every Friday to be an investor and to go into that life because you get paid 9 months later. You know, I'm the last guy to get paid on a job, and it's very stressful. And so how do you change that mindset? It's just the little tweaks here and there, and realizing what do you want in life. You know, where's your real end goal, and then I reverse engineer, as I was talking about earlier. You know, I want $1 million net a month cash flow in my rentals. Okay, that's $84,000 a month. How am I going to make that $84,000 a month? I'm going to get it's about $1 million in assets owned. We're up to 30 million right now. So once I get up to $1 million in assets owned, we should be able to hit that goal. And when am I going to get it by? Is 3 years if I'm buying an average of 50 to 100 properties a year. So I broke it down, reverse engineer, and it's the same process to whatever you want to do. I want to flip. A long goal I had a while ago was I wanted to make $1 million a year in flipping. So how much was that? It was an average of 30 properties a year. So how am I going to get to 30 properties in a year? 30 properties, we make an average of 40 to 50 grand a year. So you just reverse engineer it to how you want to get there, and then you start with those small baby steps.
Right.
Sounds like you've done a little bit of the calculating and collecting data along the way, though, right? To reverse engineer it, you have to have some facts of, okay, this worked for me for how long? So then it's like, okay, well, on the sales side, it sounds like the whole thing, like, well, if I want to get one sale, I've got to talk to 100 people. 100 people equals 10 appointments. Of the 10 appointments, one will close, right?
Exactly.
So how has like people like Brandon helped you? Because I know like Brandon, he talks about like, hey, real estate is easy. The hardest thing is things like that, like holding yourself accountable to be like, this is what I need to do, this and this, right? And being just a better you, right? You know, how is, because, you know, he doesn't always just talk about real estate. I think it's more so he talks about personal
lifestyle.
Well, I'm forever so grateful for Brandon and his group and his private network. But if you can't be around that kind of group, it's not. Brandon's amazing.
Can we just say Brandon who just for?
Brandon Turner, Better Life Tribe now. It's his group. And man, I'm just around these high level people and with these conversations that, I mean, we were at dinner one day. And, you know, what do you guys normally talk about at dinner? We were talking about what's your quarterly goals for the next year. What is stopping you from getting there? Like, this is just our like normal dinner conversation with 3 other guys. One's worth like a 10 million net worth. The other's got a 30 or 40 million dollar net worth. And these are just high level people that I was able to be around because of Brandon. And those are just the normal conversations. And when you're just hanging around those type of people, it pushes you to want to be more.
Exactly.
Like, I feel like nothing when I'm around with these guys. I feel very insignificant. And it pushes me to want to do more and do better. And then they're now my friends, and they're calling me out on it. And I want to do better because I want to be, cool, like, I don't know, whatever it is.
Well, there was a track. You surround yourself with the people that you want to be like, not the people that, or what my term is, dress for the job you want, not the job you have. Like, so you want to put yourselves in those circles, and
it's hard. I'm growing up here in Hawaii. You're around the local guy, local people in general. I grew up drinking beer and hanging out on the beach all day, and that was my goal for the day was, how many beers you can drink in a day, And so you gotta. I still have those friends, but I don't hang out too much with them at all. And
your priorities are different now. That's why.
I was actually with Brandon, and we're at this event, and there was high level guys talking about crazy stuff. And then I left for the day to be around my boys I grew up with. And I remember I had to switch my mindset, my brain. I had to like not think about business. It was good. It's the type of people you're around. So that's huge. And the quality of people you're around that are always pushing you. I have a really great friend, Jay, who's amazing guy, and just calling me on my crap all day long. Like, dude, like, what are you thinking? And it's just great to be around people like that you respect and can call you out on your stuff, not because they've been there and done it. That's the other thing. They know because they've been there.
And you receive it because there's a respect there.
Yeah. And I'm looking for more people like that to hang around with. So I'm always looking for people to hang around with.
Yeah.
How'd you meet him, anyways?
At an event. At a
networking
event.
Oh, okay.
Networking event, and just clicked, and networking, of course, great, and you never know who you can find.
Yeah.
As you keep growing.
Have you been to any networking events, or you're speaking at one coming up, huh?
Yeah.
Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So there's the Big Island one is coming up.
Billionaire Mindset Blueprint Conference. Yeah. 29th to the 1st.
Super great guys, Dee and Vince. They're great guys, and they're putting on a great event. We have our own events we've been throwing every so often. Events are great, and it's great
to purpose.
Yeah. And I'm picky and choosy what kind of events I go to too now, because I want to be around the higher level people. I want to be around the topics that are really pushing, intriguing me. If you're new, you want to be around the newer people, but I want to be around, very affluent people who are pushing too, like me.
Yeah.
So I'm choosy. I have 2 kids, and I'm very conscious of my time. I need to be home by 4:30 today, and
you are. You stop responding to any messages after a certain time.
Yeah, in the mornings I do that. I don't answer my phone until 8:00 most of the time, because I'm with my son. I'm taking him to school. We're driving to school. My phone's blowing up. It's very, very close to school. I'm just, no, hey, how
you're already detached from that.
Yeah, he's sitting right here. I hold his hand actually when we drive. Every morning I hold his hand and we drive. He's 5. And I'm asking him, what's your goals for today, son? It's my conversation.
Yeah, I bet.
What's your goals today? What are you going to accomplish today? We're going to meet new friends, or we're going to learn something new.
Yeah.
So that's his goal for today, and
you're already creating that mindset.
Yeah. And I'm talking real estate. I mean, yesterday I'm driving with him, and he asked me, the closing statement of a house? Like, what's the paperwork to buy and sell a house? He's 5.
Yeah.
And I'm explaining a closing statement to him, and just talking about it.
That is exactly how I got into this business, because my mom's a realtor. My and after school, my mom would pick me up and go back to the office, and you're hearing this stuff, and you don't realize it, but it
comes in your blood. Yeah. When I hung out with you, you're just like so ingrained in all of it.
I didn't think I was going to grow up and be a realtor or get into real estate, but
it kind of goes over your head, right?
Yeah.
But when you think back and look back, and you're like,
I've been programmed. Like I speak like a realtor before I even got out of high school.
Yeah. It's its own language too.
It is.
Yeah.
It is.
You've been coming up really fast now. It's just learning and growing. It's its own little language, lingo, right?
Yeah.
Its own little world of it all, and even the terms sometimes you use.
And that's the thing too. That because the investment community, it's its own little like subculture that's becoming very mainstream, and then
I don't know. Is it becoming mainstream, or we are just getting dove into it more and just seeing that?
I think it's still super like
I don't know.
minority.
I think you're just falling into it.
You know what?
You're just falling into it.
Oh no way!
Because it's been there.
But you guys haven't seen anybody like me yet.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying the community has always been there for me, and I just keep diving.
Well, it must be because I became interested in it, right? And then, but I'm actually kind of like a wallfly sometimes. I'll stand back and I'll see what everybody else is seeing. Like, are they seeing the same thing I am? Or are they observing it the same way? And then I'm seeing a lot of business being done here, whereas people were gravitating to becoming realtors all at one time. I mean, it's like, oh, there's more realtors. I think when I got my license, my number was 64321. And now they're in the 19,000.
I think there's 19 or 20,000 realtors.
So there's a huge difference, and I think it's going to become more popular. I think you guys are, and I can call myself now, but kind of still the early adoption stage.
Yeah, I think it's not popular, but it's like a wealth creation thing that people are like shining the light on.
In Hawaii, it's always been like, okay, what MLM are you working on now, right? How many times have you got pitched with what? Yeah. So it's like, I think everybody's heard about it, but they're unsure that this might be that next fad or whatever. You know what I mean?
Everyone wants to be in real estate. They know they need to be part of it. But everyone kind of knows, or they want to, I go to a lot of networking events, and everyone wants to own a rental. That's probably the most number one thing people want. We're actually starting now a program where we're buying rentals that cash flow 50-50 ownership with people, just because I see the demand for people wanting to own rentals. So we're great at finding these rentals and managing Airbnbs. We're buying, and we're bringing in people. Hey, we'll 50-50 with you. We'll buy this cash flowing Airbnb, and we'll keep it for 3 to 5 years and build our net worth together and grow. Because the demand is huge.
Perfect. I'm gonna hit you up about that.
We have a huge team for our Airbnbs. Our Airbnbs do really well. Legal Airbnbs.
For sure. I mean, I'm on the same boat with him, so that piques my interest too.
That's huge because everyone knows.
Exactly.
Obviously, that's a different type of cash flow than
I think that's most people's
long-term rental and. And going back to what you're saying, like the language, like sometimes I do talk about things to like people that aren't even in real estate. I'm like, you don't even know what that is.
It's like going to mainland speaking Beijing.
But exactly.
You know the kind.
So it's like, how can I like help educate them and be like, dude, you're gonna use this eventually. You're gonna need to know.
Like, will you just get it already?
One day, like even if you don't buy a property now,
don't show it down their throat. Don't show it down their throat.
I don't buy it.
No, I put sugar.
I know what you mean because I've done it. I used to be there and done it. I tried many times with so many people that you need to know this.
It's like frustrating. They just let me do it for you already. Okay, so before we run out of time. As far as my big thing is like always, I'm just trying to recruit everybody to share the knowledge and also give back, right? Financial literacy. So we talked about that a little bit. Did you have what kind of things are you doing or anything that you want to highlight as far as community and stuff like that, or you have anything planned?
We're building a really cool co-working space right now. I just came from our co-working space right in Waikiki.
Nice.
We're creating our own community, our own culture. It's 6,000 square foot, 2 penthouses on Hobron. Really cool space. It's huge. It's been a massive rehab.
Nice.
We're way over budget. And creating this own kind of culture, subculture for people to come and hang out. We're going to pick and choose who can have offices there. Kind of like a Starbucks on steroids if you're not familiar with co-working. There's 20 dedicated offices. There's conference rooms, podcast rooms. You can just come in and use, a day pass. There's all kinds of different passes and conference rooms. And we also have an event space for meetings and bigger events. And I have a sub-passion. My vivid vision is to start teaching kids financial literacy. And I really want to teach kids some of the stuff I think they don't teach in school about how to read a profit and loss statement, how to open a bank account, how to get, lines of credit, and how to do real estate, in general. But I want to keep it very simple and understanding to just the normal kids out there that need to start somehow, because they don't teach us that in school.
Mm-hmm.
I think they teach us how to do.
It's not force feeding. You're enlightening them.
Yeah.
You're trying to just shine that light on them. And be like, there is nobody at least talking about it or teaching them. And if nobody does it, why do people expect people to know about it? How can they?
But that's why we're here, because we're talking about it. And as we're talking about it, we're the people that are taking action. So things are going to happen. And that's, one of the reasons why I connected with you.
And, I wouldn't say I'm mad at it, but it's just like, sometimes I was like, dude, why didn't anybody tell me this stuff? Like, I had to find out for myself.
They didn't even talk about real estate in school, or they didn't even talk about taxes. My tax accountant's been in my office for 3 days. He's literally in my office right now. I just spent 3 days of pounding our tweaking our QuickBooks and just figuring out a process, and I loved it. I love diving into the numbers and figuring out how to make our systems better and so forth. And they don't teach that stuff in school. How to they should have a QuickBooks class, honestly. QuickBooks is how you do your taxes, if you guys don't know. Very simply. And they should just even have that simple class.
I think, exposing young adults to this stuff, you'll be surprised how much quicker they are to adopt all these things nowadays. But our parents were teaching us stuff that doesn't apply anymore. But there's no way for them to have known where we'd be today. So how could you prepare anybody for that, right?
Well, what they learned back then,
one day even
they can buy a house. They made $50,000 a year, and the house cost $80,000. So they can easily save up to buy a house.
Yeah.
They can't do that
not
nowadays.
anymore. It's a different world now.
So that's they couldn't teach that. They just, as we change in time. course.
So, and that's why the only people that are going to change it are the ones that are aware of it. So if you have the knowledge, you already have the responsibility that comes with it. Yeah. And we're in that position to be able to...
Sound like Batman.
Yeah.
With great knowledge comes great responsibility.
Yeah.
It's Spider-Man.
And cue that video right there in that section. Well, I appreciate it. And
everyone out there, there's abundance in life. There's enough for everyone to go around it. I want everyone to be successful. Just buying one house a year. You don't have to be a massive mega flipper, to make a lot of money. You can just do one house a year, buy your own rental property on the side.
Start there.
Start there anywhere. The best place to start in this business, spend your Saturday at the bank, at any credit union, any loan officer, and find out what it takes to get a loan. And they'll tell you, you need this match.
You're missing this.
Yeah.
I mean, how can you plan to get somewhere if you don't know where you're at right now?
Yeah. That Saturday will change your life.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's what I did. My Saturday, I spent 6 hours at the credit union. It changed my life.
I work on nights and weekends, so
perfect.
Go spend your Saturday. Figure out what it takes to go buy, even if it's a $200,000 box this big.
That's where you started.
Buy it.
Buy something.
Live in it. Paint it yourself. I'm sure everyone out there can paint a wall. Come on. If you can't paint a wall.
And you can do one wall at a time.
Do one wall at a time. You got a whole 2 years to do it.
You can do one a year. You can do one wall a year.
Yeah. But that's where to start, is just to go out and figure out what it takes to buy it. And I pressure everyone, even the people here behind the camera sitting here, I pressure them to do the same process as well.
For sure.
Yeah. Well, see you guys at the bank.
Call me. My place. Well, I appreciate this has been fun. It's a pleasure talking story with you.
Yeah, thank you for having me.
I hope this is maybe just the first.
I hope the podcast as well. Everyone succeeds. Everyone makes.
I have a feeling I'm pretty positive about where we're going with this, and I think we'll be around for a while.
Yeah, that's great.
I appreciate your giving us some of your time. And your knowledge and sharing it with everybody here. And so we look forward to finding out about the progress of your co-working space soon. And definitely I am going to hold you to that. You're going to be riding my passenger seat as we're going up to Peacock Flats.
Oh, yeah, I know.
Okay?
I want to go. I got to take my kid camping, man.
Yeah.
I haven't taken no camping yet.
That's my big thing too, is family and camaraderie and fellowship. So be on the lookout for some more invitations.
Yeah. I love it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.